Welcome everybody to the F4 Hunger Awareness Show.
It's my goal to feed 1 billion people before I die.
We want to bring awareness around the issue of hunger and food insecurity.
7 to 8 million people served so far. With the sole goal of eradicating world hunger by connecting sources of food to recipients in need. Fiorenza's Food for Friends.
Hi everyone, this is Derek Fiorenza with the F4 Hunger Awareness Show. And today I've got a very special guest. It's Barry Pelagatti of RKL LLP. Barry's with us today because his organization, they are supporting F4 for the Westchester Chili Cook-Off. We're very excited. That's coming up on October the 12th. And we're trying to create awareness around hunger and food insecurity. So with that, let's get to know you, Barry. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Thanks for being with us today. How did you get started in the accounting world?
Well, Derek, I'd almost say it happened by accident many, many years ago. It's been 3 decades that I've been doing this, and my path kind of started through St. Joseph's University, but I'm a lifelong resident of the Philadelphia area. I can see you're wearing your Philadelphia Eagles gear, so go Birds. I'm
Yes.
very, very proud to see that you're doing that. I typically would have on my Eagles green today. RKL, we had our Hunt for Red October yesterday in the office. I had on my Phillies gear yesterday. I had an event for one of my daughters today, or I'd have on my Eagles gear also today. But so I started out at St. Joe's many, many years ago, and actually started out as an engineering major, but very, very quickly realized that that may have not been the ideal route for me, but I still like numbers. So I said, hey, let's pivot to accounting, and fast forward 31 years. I'm still in it, and numbers have treated me very, very well. So it's helped me raise my family in this community, and helped me make a life for myself and my wife here, and we've been doing it ever since. And so yeah, just to answer that,
Yeah.
accounting is my thing, but really working with people is what's kept me in the profession this entire 3 decades. And, knowing that we're here talking now about probably more, hopefully, the community and philanthropy,
Yeah.
that's what's kept me doing this for the last 30 years there, quite honestly, and what brought me to RKL about almost 10 years ago.
Well, we're going to dive into all of that today, Barry, and I can't wait to learn more. First, I want to talk a little bit about your experience at St. Joe's.
Okay.
So the hawk, right, never stops flapping.
Yep.
The hawk
Walk
will
will
never
never
die.
die. Yep.
What was that like? Why did you decide on St. Joe's, and how did you kind of grow through those formative years?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in Philadelphia. So back when I was thinking about college, it was the big five for me. Like so it was really evaluating between, was it Drexel or Philadelphia or St. Joe's, and or Temple or your any of those. And St. Joe's just appealed to me. I'm a Roman Catholic grad, so
Yep.
I went from a Catholic grade school to a Catholic high school, and so St. Joe's just felt right. Having grown up in the city, I didn't get my driver's license until I was 20 years old. So St. Joe's also happened to be literally on the G bus route. So it
Amazing.
got me to college my freshman year. And so, I mean, I was a commuter all 4 of my years, even though obviously I met friends. So I lived on a lot of couches almost all of my college years, but it treated me very, very well, and made a lot of really good friends when I was there. My wife's also a St. Joe's grad. So, and now we don't know my daughters. I've got twins who are in high school and one who's a junior in high school. And we don't know if any of them are going to also become Hawks, but we do know we have one who's giving it strong consideration. So, we kind of started our roots there, and again, got my accounting degree from there. Have found my first job out of college through the St. Joe's Career Fair. So they have a tremendous
Yep.
curriculum and placement there. We still hire students from St. Joe's into the accounting profession. So I tell people St. Joe's will be a great place even now to start your career, and you really can't go wrong. And yeah, so I look back with fond memories. And if it wasn't for starting out there, yeah, may not be anywhere near where I'm at today, professionally, personally, or with my kids.
Did you meet your wife at St. Joe's?
I did not meet my wife at St. Joe's. I was class of 1994. She was class of 1999.
Okay.
So, she kind of jokes that I recruited her because I actually met her. We worked at the same first accounting firm, but I actually met my wife while I was working at my first accounting firm, Grant Thornton in Philadelphia,
Yep.
when we went back on campus to do recruiting at St. Joe's. She was actually one of the students who was
Oh,
interviewing to come work at Grant Thornton, and she actually interned at the firm where I was working, and we worked together. So
amazing.
sometimes she jokes and says that I hired her.
Yeah,
Uh,
literally.
yeah, literally hired her.
You
But
got
yeah,
the
we
job as
worked
wife.
together. Yeah, yep, yeah.
Did you
So we
have
worked
chemistry
together.
right away, Barry? Did you guys like know when you first met her that there was something there?
No, no, we did not. I mean, she was by far smarter than me. So people will still tell you to this day that I married up.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, she is the smarter of the two of us in our relationship. And yeah, so no. So people would probably still ask me to this day, was it against her will? So
Yeah,
I was just fortunate in that we worked in the same industry at our first accounting firm. So she had a lot of hours of working with me where maybe I just wore her down.
got it. And you have two daughters that are twins. Do you have any other children?
I do. I have three daughters. So we basically have Irish triplets. My twins now just turned 18 and my youngest is 16 and a half. So we're still very, very busy, but we were obviously very, very busy when we had three infants at home at the same time. So it's been a busy 18 years.
And do they all have your math genes? Are they all pretty good at math?
They are all very different. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, our twins could not be more different. They are all very, very intelligent, so they all get it from my wife. But one of them does want to be a CPA. One of them is very, very interested in want to pursuing a business/accounting degree as a senior now in high school. They all go to Bishop Shanahan, and
Yep.
she's taking some college level courses now in her senior year, and she is very earnest in saying she wants to start out her college life in the accounting profession. So
Amazing.
that's where she's going to start. You
Yep.
never know where they're going to finish, but that's where she's going to start. Yeah.
It helps having a clear direction. I went to Shanahan also and down in
Okay.
town. So my dad went there when it was in Westchester. So
Okay.
definitely keeping our green and white theme going. Um, Two questions for you. One, did they change the accounting degree to get your CPA to 5 years? I think they were talking about that a couple of years ago, but I'm not an accountant, so I would. Did they change that?
Many years ago, in my timeline, they changed it from 4 to 5. Now they just recently in the state of Pennsylvania changed it back to 4. A lot. It's different by state.
Got it.
Pennsylvania finally just approved at the state level, changing it back to 4. Now you could still do 5 and you could get your master's in 5 years.
Yep.
If you choose the 5 year path, would then only need 1 year of experience postgraduate to be able to qualify for the CPA credential. If you choose to take the 4 year path in college now, you would then need 2 years of work experience postgraduate to be able to then so it'd be 4 years pass the CPA exam and 2 years of experience, or 5 years pass the CPA exam and 1 year of work experience. So you have two different paths now that you can pursue in order to get your CPA designation.
Hmm.
So both are currently in play because obviously there are some students who are in college who are kind of working toward a 5 year path because colleges have created this 5 year curriculum.
Yeah.
But if you were a person graduating high school right now and going into college, you could opt to say, hey, I'm going to pursue just a 4 year degree and graduate and go that path now. So and that's really a kind of a shift because with the cost of higher education in
Yes.
our profession, there was some concern that we were losing our numbers because some people were opting not to pursue accounting because a 5 year degree could become
Costly.
cost prohibitive
Yeah,
for
exactly.
a lot of people.
That's what I was thinking, because an
Yeah,
extra cost of tuition could be fifty thousand
yeah,
dollars or more,
yeah,
depending upon where you're
yeah.
going to school. So, do you notice, and this is a question because you've been around in this industry for a while, have you noticed a difference between the students that are coming out that had to do the 5 years and the ones that are now only having to do four? Have you seen in the cycles that those 5-year students are more prepared to hit the ground running, or have you not really noticed a big difference?
Well, Derek, I joke with a lot of the younger professionals that I'm exposed to now that I don't know if I would be hireable in 2020 compared to when I graduated, because I just feel like all the students now who graduate are just so much more polished. I feel like that
Yeah,
the high schools and the universities just have been so much more exposed to internships and studying abroad and just a much more sophisticated curriculum that the students that we're seeing coming out of all the universities and colleges just seem so much better than what I was back in the day. But I will say I don't necessarily know if it's because of the 5-year or 4-year. I just think that the students are elevating their own personal game. So it really does come down to what you make of it.
yeah,
We have seen with the 5-year curriculum that extra those extra credits, let's say those extra 30 credits in the 5th year, those really are what you make of it,
got it.
because you could take those extra 30 credits and you can take some very focused business classes in, let's say, taxation or data analytics or artificial intelligence, and you can come out a really elevated professional. Or you could take some classes that are more general business knowledge, because those 30 credits don't have to be uber focused.
Yep,
You just have to have, so a lot of schools have developed some very fine-tuned where you graduate with a master's in taxation or a master's in business, but you don't have to necessarily take those types of classes. So they're unique to the individual. So it really is what you make of it. But I would say a predominant amount of them really are trying to maximize that spend. Like if you're going to spend that money, most are elevating it. And it's really amazing to see some of the resumes that just come across my desk are just really amazing. And like I'm almost afraid to go back and see what my resume when I graduated. And I mean, I felt like I held my own and I was definitely employable and I've done well. But like I worry, like, man, if I had to compete against some of today's students, it's really impressive to see what the schools are putting out now.
that's encouraging. So, are you finding that maybe there was a bit of a detriment to having accounting students because of the 5 years? Are you finding it now with the, I don't want to say more lax, but the resumed standards, that 4-year standards? Are you finding it that now more people are entering the field, so that from a recruiting, when you're trying to hire people out of college, accountants that'll become CPAs, are you finding that you have a bigger pool now, or do you think the pool has shrunk and it stayed small?
Well, I mean, the shift to the 4-year we won't see the ramifications of that until that cycle kind of shifts now, because the rule just went into effect.
Got it.
So the people who are graduating for the next couple of years are really on that 5-year path. So we won't see if our numbers are going to increase yet, because for the benefits of people saying, well, hey, I'll dive back into the
Yeah,
pool now because there's one less year of cost
yeah,
for 4 years, because that just went into effect. So right now, the numbers are just down. So there are more firms competing for a
less.
smaller pool
Yeah.
of individuals. So retention and competition among the firms for the students is very, very aggressive. So the higher rate for accountants coming out of school, this is a wonderful time to go into the profession. So anyone listening to your podcast who has students who are thinking about making a major choice, like I would, for all the fear of people hearing like, well, is artificial intelligence going to replace certain degrees and curriculums? Like, to have human beings that can have conversations with business professionals. Yeah, AI is absolutely going to help do the baseline research and maybe save some time.
Yep.
But the ability to have a human conversation and help navigate through difficult business conversations, that the art of the deal and the art of negotiation. There's so much opportunity, especially with the aging of the generations of, the baby boomers and the Gen X who are looking to retire earlier. The need to replenish the workforce in this profession. It's going to take, a generation or two to replenish the profession.
Well, Barry, one of the things we're going to talk about today is, giving back. But one area where I see a massive opportunity, not just for accountants, but I know a lot of people are very concerned about AI because they're concerned about the job loss. And there is going to probably be some sifting of that, no question. But I think the one thing that machines are not able to do, since they don't have a soul, is they don't have the ability to emotionally relate. So their emotional intelligence, they might be able to process data faster than we can because that's how they're built to follow these algorithms. But they can't emotionally relate to a business owner's stresses, their fears, the fact that, think of it this way, and Barry, you work with a lot of businesses, I'm sure. I do too. I'm a retirement plan advisor, so I work with employers. I always am amazed at the fact that when I talk to a business owner, they say, I have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 families
Yep.
that are depending upon me. A computer is not able to say, oh, you have 200 families that are depending upon you. They can say how much is payroll, but they don't
Yep.
understand emotionally the depth of what that means. That means that so and so has cancer, so and so's kid is sick, so and so person lost a family member. Like there's a human element that you brought up in our conversation that I think that there's always going to be an opportunity to add value. And that's something that you might not be able to quantify with just numbers on a page.
Yeah. I mean, Derek, I have an opportunity to go out to a lot of the universities and even sometimes to talk to some students in high school. And when they talk about, well, what does it mean to be a CPA and why should I become a CPA? I try and break down the credential as far as being a certified public accountant. And, the attention span sometimes isn't very long, but I'm like, well, to become certified, you just have to pass the test. And to be an accountant, yeah, at university, they're going to teach you all of the classes to say, hey, I'm an accountant. I understand the debits and the credits, but I said the part that's really going to make you successful is the letter P in being a certified public accountant. So it's dealing with the public or dealing with the people. So I said the skills that you're really going to want to acquire that are going to make you stand out in the profession is during college, think about those marketing classes, or again, having gone to St. Joe's, I had to take classes and some of those psychology classes or the classes where it's learning how to relate to that human element. So like you said, the families of the
Mhm.
employees or the strategic plan of the organization or sort of what is the mission statement of the organization beyond, how do they generate revenue? It's how do they deal with, imagine in 2020 when every single company in the United States had to go through COVID.
Yep.
How do they treat their employees? How do they treat their clients? How do they treat their customers? One of the things that I was most proud of at RKL is that when, it's odd to say this, when COVID hit, the immediate reaction of our company was not how do we monetize the private placement loans and how are we going? We immediately said every single one of our companies is going to have to survive through this.
Mm-hmm.
So we took all of those laws and all of those regulations that came out, and our professionals studied that. And we said, we need to make sure that every one of our companies knows how to handle this so that they can get access to the resources they need. So we created very similar to this conversation we're having, Derek.
Yeah.
We created a webinar. We did not monetize that webinar. We took that link and we said, share this link with every client. And we told every client, share this link with everyone you know.
Yep.
And anyone who wants to access our weekly Q&As,
Yep.
we shared it for free
Hmm.
because so many people had so many questions on how do we fill out the forms? How do we do this? And every question that came in from anybody, all we did was answer questions.
Yep.
We didn't, we worried about nothing other than how to help our communities. And after the fact, when we went back and looked at how did COVID impact our companies, we studied it from how did it impact us. I think we collected like 96% of our revenue from our companies because our company said, you didn't ask us for anything.
Yeah.
So when we ultimately just had to send just our normal invoices, we were one of the first companies to get paid by our companies who were generating no revenue because they said, you looked out for us whenever we needed help with filling out a government form or how to get access to. So basically, we weren't looking for that. We were expecting the sky to fall there.
Yeah.
But, and so after COVID sort of took that first breath, we just kept it going and we
Yep.
didn't stop it. And we're still doing that now. When the new tax bill came out, we immediately said people are going to have questions. We opened up our webinars again and we're like, if anybody has questions, we're putting answers out there. So we just understand that we serve a bigger role than just being a CPA firm, that we're a part of a community, and life's complicated. Stuff that's out there is complicated, Derek. And it's like, we can't just assume that people have time when everything's so chaotic to understand things. So it's like part of our role is to help our community. So it's what we try and do.
Yeah. And you're obviously referencing the PPP loans during that time period. That was confusing.
Yeah.
People had questions. It's amazing that you guys made such a concerted effort collectively to prioritize the needs of the community. I call it our Jimmy Stewart moment. And if you remember the movie Wonderful Life, when the bank run happened, and
Yep.
they kept the savings and loans institution open with
Yep.
their own money. Everybody was panicking, but they kept a steady hand. So you played
Yep.
that Jimmy Stewart role in the community during that time period.
Yeah, I mean, you and I can relate to that. If I tried to explain that to one of my daughters, they may look at me with sort of a blank stare. But yeah, that resonates with me, especially because my primary service industry and within RKL is I lead our financial service group. So I
Got it.
work with credit unions and banks. So that movie, has a certain warm spot in my heart when I watch it every year at the holidays, because that those are the clients I work with every day that in my entire 31 years is a community financial service sector.
You tell your daughters it's the black and white movie on Christmas Eve
Yep.
on
Uh,
Channel 10.
they just know about the angel getting its wings. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clarence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope I have a Clarence too. That would be awesome. Um, all right, so this is great. So now I want to delve into RKL. If we had more time today, because there's a lot I want to get into still with philanthropy, I'd love to talk to you about your faith. So maybe sometime in the future we can have a conversation about that. My faith in the Lord is the most important thing to me. And the way we run our company, I always say people first, profits second.
Yep.
That translates over to the charity work. And I always say, we're providing food to those that are hungry, but hopefully the word hope. More than that, I hope we are providing hope and inspiration and encouragement that no matter where you're at in life, it's never too late to start over. And that even in suffering, there's an opportunity for grace and an opportunity to begin anew. So suffering's not the end of the road. A lot of times it's just a stop along the journey. Everybody follows a different life cycle. We're here for a finite period of time, but the impact we make, and this echoes with what you were saying about the work you're doing in the community, it lives beyond us. So it'll live beyond you personally, Barry, with your daughters. And RKL, let's talk a little bit about that, talking about living beyond. How long has RKL been around? When were they formed? In terms of accounting firms, are they one of the larger ones in the area, in the state? Can you tell us a little bit about RKL?
Yeah, so RKL, to many surprise, maybe listening to your webcast, we are the largest CPA firm headquartered in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Our headquarters is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but we have offices throughout the entire state. I'm talking to you from our office in Exton, Pennsylvania, so very close, obviously, to where you're coming from, Derek.
Yeah.
And I'm the managing partner of our Exton office. And we're 700 people strong at last count. I don't have the exact head count. We're comprised of, I think, about 60 partners and 700 employees, of which the predominant amount of those employees are based out of the state of Pennsylvania. And again, offices in Lancaster and Harrisburg and Mechanicsburg and Allentown and Exton and York. I apologize if I'm missing one of our PA based offices there. We also have employees throughout the entire country as we continue to pick up clients nationally. We try to make sure we have people who can represent them throughout the entire. I know you're showing some stats up
Yeah.
there. And part of our mission statement is being active in our community. So being an accountant by nature, it's very easy for us to quote numbers, and from a community perspective, of those 700 employees, we really ask everyone to try and pick a passion project. So part of each employee's sort of annual expectation is that they do something within the community at an individual level as part of their, we call it their core hours. So every employee, we know, yes, you want to be client facing. We want you to service your clients, but when you're not serving your clients, tell us, how are you going to get involved in the community, whether it's volunteering, whether it's serving on a board. whether it's just doing something as part of your day. And we want them to do that as part of their work days or as part of their volunteer hours. And I've talked to my marketing team, and they gave me some stats, and I was so happy to see some of them when they're like, Barry, there's over 7,000 hours a year typically committed by employees of RKL to volunteering to various team member events. And I think that's over 300 different organizations that
Mm,
team members. You're actually showing some of the
yeah.
ones right there that they've captured, and over $750,000 that have been raised for various local community organizations. And one of the things we do is, the teddy bears that are donated to various medical facilities and hospitals. That's one of the passion projects of some of the different offices, and thousands of hours serving on community boards and committees. I most recently was the past most currently the past chair of the Exton Chamber of Commerce. Last year I was the chair of the Exton Chamber of Commerce, and things like that happen throughout our entire organization. And it's not because it's mandated, but it's just because something that when somebody joins RKL, when they're considering which type of firm they want to join, they know that they're joining an organization where that's something that they're allowed to do. They're not required to do, but when they're choosing, hey, do I want to go work at this accounting firm, or I know I can pick maybe, and all the accounting firms are good, but we all had different sort of approaches to how we go to market. They know that if they join an organization like RKL, number one, they're probably going to be working close to home because we have offices in their local communities where they're raised, and they're serving clients that are probably their neighbors. And when they're at their local restaurant, they may be eating with the clients and the communities they serve, but they know that they're allowed to get involved in their communities, and they can take pride in that. And that's how we try and make a difference.
Yeah, so just to recap, a few of those data points you just said, it's over 7,000 hours volunteered in the community by RKL team members, over 300 community organizations that you have financially supported in 2024 alone. And we were grateful to have your support this year. Almost $1 million raised for local communities. The teddy bear program sounds wonderful and so sweet. Almost 500 teddy bears donated to medical centers and hospitals, and over 4,500 hours serving on community boards and committees, which being on a nonprofit, founding a nonprofit in 2011, the work of our board members and committee members is invaluable. You don't pull off an event like the Westchester Chili Cook-Off without having boards and committees and many other great events that are done, 5Ks and galas and whatnot. And as I always say, those types of events are important for nonprofits because number one, most importantly, they need to raise funds to keep the lights on. But number two, they need to create awareness for the cause. And spreading awareness for your mission is crucial. So I know with your generous contribution this year, we have what's called an impact metric. So what we're able to do is we look at what we spend organizationally, and we look at what we provide in terms of pounds of food recovered and meals. And with your contribution, I think we're going to be able to provide upwards of 15,000 meals with your contribution because our impact metric, we roughly are doing between 12 and 15 meals per dollar spent. So it's huge in terms of what we'll be able to do to help our community. And last year we provided over 2 million pounds, 1.7 million meals to the community. So we really appreciate your generosity, your organization for believing in us and wanting to get involved, especially like you said, being in Lancaster. Now you've branched out. You're in Exton. That's where our offices are as well. It's so great to have your support for the Westchester Chili Cook-Off.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the sentiment, Derek, and I know you and I recently talked about my willingly agreeing to be a judge at the upcoming event on October the 12th. And I was telling my daughters about that last night, and they kind of laughed because they said, "Dad, we didn't know you were a big chili fan." And I said, "Well, I said I'm not a huge chili fan, but I said I'm going to do it to help Derek out." And Bishop Shanahan is also, I
They are.
believe, volunteering at that event as well. So my daughters are going to be there. And they said, Dad, we're going to come and make sure that you're really doing a good job. I think they may even have a submission, they said, in the contest for
They
the chili.
do.
So I said, well, I
Shanahan's
have to
making
make
chili.
sure that I'm not biased. So I
Yep.
said,
Don't
don't
worry.
tell me which one's yours.
Don't worry, Barry. It's blind tasting. But yeah, Shanahan for the second year, they were the first high school ever to enter. I think Church Farm was doing it, but like the first high school in our area that has helped out with the event. So we were grateful to have them the second year now in a row, and the kids loved it. They had a great time because at the end of the day, you're creating awareness for food insecurity while having a great time with family and friends.
Yeah, well, let's make sure it's blind because I'm an auditor, so I have to stay in
Hmm.
there. So I want to
Well,
make sure I don't
I
I
am
don't get
agnostic
in
to judging
trouble.
because I don't even go to near that room. But what before we wrap up, I'm just sharing some of your social media. Can you just dive down a little deeper? What services does RKL provide? I know you do accounting. Is it for personal, for business? Do you do any other
Yeah,
services?
I mean, my elevator speech is that, we are a one-stop shop. If you work with numbers in your organization, feel free to call us because we work across all the verticals. We do audit, we do tax, we do small business. We have several different industries that we're passionate about. Obviously, mine is financial services, so credit unions, banks, risk and compliance, but we do nonprofit, we do commercial, we do real estate. We touch hospitality, we do some governmental. We really like to say that we just like to work as advisors for organizations. So even if an organization calls us and they say, do you do XYZ industry? If our answer is no, we typically don't say, hey, it was nice to talk to you. We'll talk to you later. We will try and connect them with the organization they need. We do virtual outsourcing. We do wealth management. We help with human resourcing, outsourcing if they need, if they lost a professional and they need help sourcing, sort of a replacement. We do international tax advising. I mean, it really runs the gamut, Derek. And if it's something where we start to get enough phone calls about something, we will try and, develop. We work with senior living. We do payroll advising. I'm really proud to say as an organization, we try and evolve with our clients. So as we see our clients start to build out certain, um, sort of revenue stream that they need help with, we recruited over 60, I think it's 63 universities across the state. It's so amazing to see how many great state universities that we have in Pennsylvania. We try and hire from many of them to continue to just sort of grow the young professionals that we have. So I just can't say enough about what our firm is trying to do to make sure that individuals and companies throughout the state of Pennsylvania survive and thrive. We do employee benefit plan auditing. If you're an organization that may even say, well, hey, we don't necessarily need an audit by our size, but we need help with managing our employee benefit plan or some of our just health plans. And our website is a tremendous resource if you're looking and just say, hey, is this something RKL does? But we just like to have conversations with local businesses and just kind of learn more about what they're doing and where they may need some assistance from us.
Is there any? I have up here. You have so many services. Is there
Yeah.
any particular industry where you've really found a niche? It sounds like you cover every industry, but is there any that you've really kind of latched onto?
I think in this area, again, I'm proudest in this area because we have such a concentration in this office in financial services. But I think the area where there's so much room for growth in this geography is a not-for-profit. I really think because brand awareness of RKL in the Exton region, this is the office that we're trying to grow most organically because we opened up a shingle here without tucking in or sort of acquiring another accounting firm to find our existence here. There's so much opportunity with nonprofits in sort of the Philadelphia and the surrounding 5 counties that I feel like because we are such a large firm that not a lot of maybe nonprofits know about us in these surrounding counties. I feel like we have so much value, and you can see the depth and breadth of the compliance services we bring for the nonprofit sector here. We would welcome an opportunity to talk to. I mean, there are hundreds of nonprofits, Stark, as you probably know, in
Yep.
this geography that may just not know, hey, we should be considering RKL. And we have such depth and breadth of expertise in that industry that because we are so well established in our other counties, that maybe we're not knocking on as many doors as we should be. But if somebody calls us up, I can promise you we're here to service them and service them well. It's just a matter of we may just not know that they're feeling, I don't want to say underserved, but maybe that we could be servicing that well.
Well, I think it's a good point you're bringing up because a lot of nonprofits, they don't know what they don't know. And they're
Right.
relying upon boards that come from different backgrounds. And just because somebody's a generous donor doesn't mean that they have knowledge of what tax forms to do. And,
Right. Right.
bookkeeping services, I'm looking here, like that's something that's huge. I mean, a lot of companies, not just nonprofits, I would say probably don't do a good job of maintaining books. And then it's a
Yeah.
fire drill come tax season.
Yeah, some of them, Derek, may be just the under person. And what they may not realize is that they're all out there looking to try and bring in more headcount of people.
Yep.
And that's hard in this environment right now because there's just that they may not be able to necessarily afford to add another person or two persons. So maybe the option is rather than having to add headcount, maybe it's, well, let's talk to RKL and maybe we can offboard some of our lower, higher volume activity so that the team that they do have on board can handle the more difficult task. And maybe some of the bookkeeping services could be outsourced to us so that their existing team can focus on the more critical task. And so it's sort of a hybrid type of operation where we can take the high volume, lower risk transactions off their books, off of their plate, so that their team can focus on the more critical mission task. And then they don't have to try and go out and, potentially add higher cost, low return employees.
Barry, I had no idea how robust and comprehensive the offering was. I thought of RKL as being an accounting firm in Lancaster, and then when Ted had connected to you and we had this meeting scheduled, and I started doing some more research, and I realized you did more than just accounting, a lot more. It's just amazing. And then you said you're the largest accounting firm in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So it's just a lot to be proud of. You should be honestly so proud. And I saw the Community Day of Care. I guess you give the team volunteer hours. They can go out in the community and help out.
Yep.
So that seems pretty unbelievable in today's day and age because there's just, everyone's trying to do more with less. There's less time, more responsibilities, more requirements, and the fact that you're still putting such a focus on delivering a great level of service and expertise, but also putting a focus on giving back. It's a really unique blend, like you said. It really, I think, differentiates you in this market. And I think as more businesses, individuals, nonprofits have a chance to meet you, I think they'll quickly see that benefit could be theirs, if they were to engage in your services.
That's the hope, right? That's a
Yeah.
desired outcome, Derek. And I feel like, there has to be an energy that if you put it out there, you kind of hope that that energy comes back to you. And I feel, I've been here again almost 10 years and
Mm.
I've seen that energy, pay dividends back.
Yeah.
I've seen the dividends it's paid back for me. I mean, I joined here very purposely because I wanted to be able to spend time with my family. I came here for reasons because, I was doing well professionally at the firm that I joined, that I was at prior to joining RKL. And, I could have stayed there and continued to be successful. It was a very reputable national firm. But I came here because I wanted to make sure that, again, these 10 years were from when my twins were 8 to 18 and my youngest is 6 to 16. I wanted to make sure I was present for those formative years and also have a rewarding career. And I was able to do that. So it's afforded me that I want to give that same opportunity to those other 700 families because at the same time that they're working for us every day, they're graduating from college. They're meeting their partners and their spouses, and they're buying their pets and they're getting married and they're having kids. So you don't want them to look back 10, 20 years from now and say, hey, I became a CPA and I became a professional, but all I did was work because that used to be what this profession looked like 50 years ago. The route to partner was, hey, keep your head down and your mouth shut and, work 4,000 hours a year and maybe you'll make partner. Well, that's not the path that you have to take. And we're proud of that. We're proud to say that you can work hard, but you can do it all. And you can also give back to your community and make memories with your family and be proud of what you did.
let's put a bow on this. And you talked about family and wanting that type of, I guess, work balance for your 700 employees and also for the people you work with. What role, linking all of this together, professionally, personally, what role has faith played in your life?
Yeah, I have an opportunity, Derek, I've always had an opportunity to do training at whichever firms I've been at. And this isn't, you're not really leading me here, Derek, because I feel like we have some very similar values. But I refer to it as the 4Fs. So when I have an opportunity to talk to our new hires, I used to put this out and when we used to put a projector out on the front, like an acetate down on a screen,
Yeah.
I used to have this acetate that I would put down and I would do FFFF. And I'd be like, does anybody know what this means? And it would be faith, family, friends, firm. And I'm like, that's basically the way you have to think about it. And if people would be like, well, it's odd that you're putting firm last. And I'm like, I'm not putting the firm last, but I'm like, if you live your life this way and you understand that you always prioritize it that way, you can be successful in all four. And I would tell stories that it's like, look, if it's the middle of busy season and you come in and you tell me, hey, you want to go to movies with your friends, yeah, well, maybe that at that point in time, the firm maybe moves up a little bit the ladder. But if you come to me in the middle of the busy season and you say, hey, it's your grandparents' 50th anniversary, I don't care how important the deadline is, your family comes first. So, but if you have that as your default, faith, family, friends, firm, you're never going to go wrong. And like I've lived that way my entire life, Derek.
Yeah.
And I've helped raise a lot of young professionals. And I say that genuinely using that word, who I can now look back and they're CFOs of banks and they're partners at other accounting firms. And they come back to me and they say, Barry, we remember when you said that to us. And whenever we get too stressed, we go back to that to help us level set ourselves and understand that yes, sometimes the letters move a little bit,
Yep.
but we default back to that and it keeps us going. And sometimes that means they pivot in their career, but it helps them keep going. And I'm proud of that. Like I'm not going to look back and ask myself how many charge hours
Yep.
did I have, but I'm going to look back and say how many individuals kind of navigated through their life using that in their professional career.
I hope, Barry, that when people listen to this episode and they think about what you're sharing today, especially I like the four F's because four F's, faith, family, friends, firm. I hope that people take inspiration from that and they see that there is another way. It's yes, working hard is important, but the order of what you prioritize, if you do start with God and your family and your friends, and the work will follow that. It's doing it with a genuine heart, and I think that's an important clarification point. You're approaching this with a very genuine heart, and it sounds like the people that you've engaged with and the people that you work with align fundamentally with that value. We're doing this from an earnest place to do well, to serve others first. That's where that really works well.
Well, that's what I try and do, Derek.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, it comes across. It comes
yeah.
across just in our conversation. So, when I say this, I mean it. I really have enjoyed talking to you. It's the platform for others to share their story. I always say, what are we seeking in life? It's personal fulfillment, it's satisfaction. We all have to work, right? We have to pay the bills and we have to take care of our family. But at the end of the day, we want to know that we're making an impact and making someone's life easier, a little less stressful. I always say suffering is everywhere, it's all around us. And the more you do to give back and serve, the more you see it. And it's kind of like that old thought, what you see can't be unseen. So then you have nothing to do but to help. So I just want to thank you for giving us time out of your busy day to record this episode. Hopefully, it does inspire people. Thank you for your generosity with our upcoming event. And just thank you for RKL, what you are doing in the community, not just employing 700 people, giving families an opportunity to pay their bills, but all the thousands of clients that you're helping. We appreciate it, and we're grateful to have you here in Pennsylvania, and specifically here next time with me. But thank you for everything you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your time today. Looking forward to eating some good chili next week, and for hopefully meeting some other individuals in Westchester. Hoping for some great weather.
Yes.
Hoping for some Phillies wins and an
Yes.
Eagles win on Sunday and Thursday. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Well, that's been it's been a great. So this has been Barry with RKL, Barry Pelagatti, RKL. He's been with us today on the F4 Hunger Awareness Show. Please subscribe wherever you're listening. We thank you for your support, and together we can create a world without hunger and food insecurity. Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, Derek. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.